Hi, my name is Ashley Sarin from the Placer County Office of Education, and what you're about to see is a universally designed lesson in a 7th grade history class. A few things that I want to point out in this lesson is first the goal of the lesson. We only have 31 minutes because it's a short articulation Monday, and so we set a goal that we felt could be fully accomplished in that time. The essential question is on Enlightenment thinkers and how they influenced the American Revolution. So we decided to focus in specifically on John Locke's ideas of the natural rights and how they connect to what Benjamin Franklin wrote in the Declaration of Independence. As we were planning the lesson, we discovered a few potential barriers that could exist for students. One is lack of relevance. How does this apply to us today? So what you'll see at the beginning of the period is a little role play activity trying to connect the taxation without representation to the current school where these kids are. We will also connect to their personal lives at the end of the period, where we have them look at life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and how that pertains to them when they leave the classroom and go into the quad. Another barrier we saw was text complexity. This is a very complex text, and so we provide vocabulary, we have annotations, we do both an audio reading of the text as well as individual reading, so a lot of options for them to be able to comprehend the text. And then finally, we thought of a barrier in terms of executive functioning skills, and we built in some activities for students to begin to realize who they are as learners and what their best learning style is. So I hope you enjoy. So, as Mr. Weaver said, I am from the County Office of Education, and before we get started, I've actually been going around the schools. We have some new rules that we are enforcing at the schools. I know that it seems to be kind of late to enforce new rules in the school year, but I don't know if you're familiar. It's pretty expensive to run schools. We don't have a lot of funding, and so we have to implement a few new rules that are actually going to start tomorrow. So I'm going to give you these. You'll have to take them home and get them signed off by your parents, just so we know that you are aware of what the rules are. So just take a minute to look them over. The first one, some things you'll see is your textbooks are, some of them are falling apart and we need new textbooks, but we can't afford to buy them because it's expensive to run schools. So you guys will have to buy a new textbook yourselves. It'll be $5 and you have to have a new one by tomorrow. So Mr. Holmes is back here right now. If you have the $5, you can just give it to him now. That's fine. Otherwise, you have to bring it tomorrow. If you don't have it tomorrow, there'll be a detention. You just have to enforce the rules. Also, Mr. Weaver does a lot of grading, and we have to pay him to grade, and it takes a lot of time to do that. We're going to start charging a fee for grades. If you want a paper graded, it's going to be $1 to grade the paper. And then if you want to view it online, it's going to be about $5 if you want to see them online. It's expensive to run all the technical stuff. So I'm just going to give you 1 minute just to look over these, see what the other rules are. Okay? Okay, so how are you guys feeling about this? Part of my job is to explain the rules, but then to take back to my boss how you guys are feeling about the rules. So, yeah.
I think it's a joke because we don't get water. I think that's kind of like health concerns a little bit, and we have to tape.
So I want to go back to this joke thing. How many of you guys think this is a joke? Oh, you're so smart. Okay, so turn to a partner. What is this? This is not real. For those of you. That was fun. Turn to a partner. What do you think this is? Why do you think I did this little activity? What do you think this represents in history? Okay, turn to a partner, 30 seconds. We're going to read one line from the Declaration of Independence. I'm not going to read the whole thing right now because we don't have a lot of time. And this is the specific line that shows that connection between John Locke's natural rights and the American Revolution. Okay, the first thing I want you to do, you may have heard this line. This is kind of the big hitter, the Declaration of Independence. You probably heard it before. It's okay if you haven't. Read through it one time on your own first and just try to familiarize yourself with it and get a general understanding. So the first read through is on your own and you can mark it up however you want to. Okay? Vocabulary in the top corner. So self-evident means clearly true, requiring no explanation. This is obvious. Endowed means to be given freely or naturally. And then unalienable means that it's impossible to take away. Okay, so I'm going to read it out loud a second time. And as I do, I want you to underline maybe any words that you're still kind of struggling with, or just write notes. You can transfer the vocab here, write notes, annotate it, mark it up. What do you think are the key ideas, the main points? So this is your copy. You can mark it up however you need to, okay? So we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So I'll read it again. We hold these truths, and the truths he's talking about are the truths that come at the end of the sentence. Okay? Another word for truths could be like principles. We hold these principles or these statements to be self-evident. That all men are created equal. In this case, it's men, women, people, all that. That they are endowed, they are given freely by their Creator. So back in the 1700s, they were very religious, so they did believe in God. So they say given freely by God or a higher power with certain unalienable rights, rights that cannot be taken away from them. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Okay, right now what I want you to do is underline the part of this sentence that connects to John Locke's natural rights. But first we have to remember what his natural rights are. Turn to a person sitting next to you and share what are John Locke's natural rights. Okay. What we're going to do is I'm going to collect these half sheets of paper at the end of the period. And what I'm looking for is that you understand this initial connection. You understand what the sentence means, what Thomas Jefferson meant when he said the sentence, and you understand how it connects to John Locke's natural rights. So your responsibility now is to show me and prove to me that you understand what our goal is for today's lesson, okay? There's a variety of ways you can do this. If you're a writer, then, oh, thank you. Okay, so this is a short paraphrase of it. If you're still struggling with, what does it mean exactly? Here's a paraphrase written in more modern language. So we believe these principles are obvious by nature. All people are equal and are given by the power who made them specific rights which cannot be taken away, including the right to live, the right to make your own choices, and the right to strive for personal fulfillment. Okay. So your job is to show me that you understand what it means and that you can connect it. You have options. You can write. So if you're a writer, think about how you best learn. Okay. If you're a writer, you can just write a couple sentences, just explaining the connection. If you're an artist, if you're really good with visuals, you can draw. I have on the back of it, I have here, if you want to do maybe a two square cartoon, you can do that. I've got an option there for you. Or you can do your own drawing, that's fine. Or maybe you're more of a chart kind of graphic organizer person. You want to do bullet points and arrows and stuff. You can do that as well. So I'm going to give you about 3 minutes right now to figure out however you want to show me on that paper that you understand the connection. Clearly, Thomas Jefferson is familiar with the natural rights. He's copying that same example. If you have not already, I want you to highlight or underline or otherwise mark life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Stand up. We've been sitting for like 15 minutes already. Stand up. Stand up. I want you to find someone you've not talked to yet, and I want you to share what this sentence means and how it connects to John Locke's natural rights, okay? So find someone. Okay, the next question that I have for you is, why does this matter? How does this affect me today? A few weeks until school's out, it's 2018, I'm sitting in the classroom in Rockland. Like, why does this really matter to me in my life? Okay. So I want you to take a minute and just think about that. So thinking about, okay, how does this really affect me today? Like when I leave and go into the quad this afternoon, how can I show the notion and enhance and support these ideas of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness? So maybe life, what it means is to live with dignity and respect. So maybe it's about respecting all people that you come in contact with. liberty, to have freedom. A lot of times we think of liberty and we think back to actual freedom. We think of slavery versus freedom, right? Nowadays, you're like, well, what does it mean to live with liberty where you're at right now in this classroom? You all have freedom in the sense of the generic kind of sense of the word. But what about freedom to really be you, to make your own choices, to be comfortable in your own skin and not have to worry about maybe getting made fun of or something like that? So making good choices for myself, for example, freedom to make choices for maybe what sport you want to play, or just now you made a choice if you wanted to write or draw. And then the last one is your pursuit of happiness. Maybe it's about chasing after your dreams and passions. Maybe you want to start, hey, I'm going to chase my dream of this, or I'm going to chase my passion of that. So these are some ideas of life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. I want you to pick one term, either life, liberty, or pursuit of happiness. Figure out what term you're going to focus on for the next, 5 minutes or so. Does everybody have it in their head? You know what you're going to do? Okay, if you're going to focus on life, I want you to hold up a 1. If you're going to focus on liberty, I want you to hold up a 2. If you're going to do pursuit of happiness, hold up a 3. And do it in front of your chest, that way you don't sway to other people's. Cool. Okay, for those of you who chose to focus on life, I want you to stand up and go to the back corner. For those of you who chose to focus on liberty, you go to this corner back here. And if you chose pursuit of happiness, you can come up to the front. Something that you can do today when you leave here to support this notion of life or liberty or the pursuit of happiness. Okay? So go ahead and talk with your partner or group. What are some things that you can do when you leave here and go out into the quad today to support life, liberty, or the pursuit of happiness? Let's start with life. Whoever's in the life group, what's one thing you guys talked about? Yeah.
I thought it meant that maybe to live life the way you want to and not let somebody tell you how to do it. So maybe if you go outside, don't let somebody tell you what to do, and just, unless you have to, if it's like your parents or something.
Thank you for sharing. Left, if you want to take more time to finish up your half sheet of paper, you can do that. Make sure your name is on it. And then other than that, I don't know if you have anything for them.